Yes, let's check our hair.
Check our hair, just make sure it's as
Oh,
fabulous as
wait, I
ever.
think that we went live.
Oh my gosh, we went live.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, my
Hello,
mistake.
everybody, and welcome to Ask Us Anything. So, today, me and my son Lucca, who is 18, and Nicola, my son, who is 15, are here to answer your most burning travel questions. And we did ask in a post a few days ago if you had any questions, but we are happy to try and answer questions that come in live. So we can see them right here on our screen. If you guys have questions, go ahead and put them into the comments. But we're going to try to answer some of your travel questions. So I'm going to jump over to see what people had asked. First of all, Lucca, by the way, studied in France this summer. So he is going to take questions about student travel. And Nico traveled with me to Croatia, France, Provence, Belgium. Where else did we go together this year? Oh, Italy. He went to Italy as well. So my children might have traveled more than you have. So if you're thinking, I'm not going to ask kids a travel question, you might want to. They're really good. They know their stuff. Funny little anecdote. Lucca, when he was about 10 years old, maybe 11 years old, I was doing a Rick Steves event and I was speaking in front of an audience of 500 people. And at the end of the event, Lucca jumped up on stage and took the mic from me and said, "Does anybody have any questions?" And proceeded to answer questions for the audience for probably about 10 minutes, which was pretty cool.
I think that says more about my know-it-allness than it does about my experience with travel, though.
Well, you do know a lot. So, well, let's go ahead and dive into some of the questions that we have so far. I have a question actually for my kids before we get started, though. I'd like to know, what was your favorite travel moment from last year, from 2022? Nico, what was your favorite travel moment from 2022?
I would probably say Belgium and the time that we got frites.
Oh, we did. We tried all the frites when we were in Antwerp. We just got a cheap hotel in Antwerp and had a good time wandering around and eating French fries and Indonesian food. That was pretty good. Luca?
I would say like one of the dinners at the Chateau in Provence.
Yes, the Chateau in Provence. So we stayed, if you guys remember, at a beautiful chateau in the countryside in Provence near the town of Avignon with my friend Nina, and we did a Provence tour that was absolutely fantastic. By the way, that tour has spots available, and it is really one of the nicest tours that we do. So if you're looking for something to do in June, we have spots on that wonderful Provence tour that is really, it's a treat if you're looking for a travel treat. I think I'll actually try to do a slideshow on that in the next week or two, so you can see what that's like if you're interested in booking that tour. So let's go ahead and jump into our questions here. I like this one. As an obviously tall family, I'm 6'2", you're about 6'7", and Nico, you're about what, 6'3"?
Yeah, just a little bit taller.
Just a little bit taller than me. How do you manage the various comfort issues of plane travel and spaces designed to accommodate smaller bodies? Oh, that's a really good question. Anybody have any thoughts on that?
Book your flight as early as possible and try and get bulkhead.
Yeah.
Obviously, bulkhead and the whatever emergency exit seats, and then also, since we're family and all that, we can also get a row of seats all together and we can kind of share space.
That actually has been a really good strategy, Nico. Thanks for reminding me. Yeah, because when you have airplanes that are booked with 3 seats in a row, since we travel in 3, we book all the 3 seats together, and then we can lift up the armrests and we just sleep in a big pig pile. That's usually what we've done since the kids were little. We've all just kind of taken up all that space. Also, for tall people, if there's nothing else available on the plane, take the aisle seat, because you can put your feet out into the aisle. I actually have a slightly different approach. I like the window, because the window always has just that little extra bit of space that kind of goes underneath the window, so I can kind of stuff my legs over there. But yeah, I would say if you're really tall, the best strategy is to have loyalty to one airline and get the airline credit card so you can get status on that airline, because Delta usually lets me, when I book, pick exit aisle. And you can't do that if you're just an occasional customer for airlines. So if you become a loyalty member, they often will let you choose exit aisles early, and that's really super duper nice, because we are, all of us, extremely tall. So yeah, it's been hard. I think one of the worst things was on that bus that Nico and I took. We took a Flix bus, and oh boy, the knee room was really terrible on that.
Was appalling.
That was appalling. Yeah, tall people, Flixbus isn't great. So in that kind of situation, like on trains or buses that have small legroom. Getting the seats with the table is probably better because you can at least move your legs just a little bit. So
Trains aren't usually as bad, but definitely on buses, like long distance buses, that's a big problem.
yeah, long distance buses are not easy. So yep, so that I would say the other thing that I have run into over time is that when we travel in Europe, they don't know what a king size bed is. They usually put two twins together. So if you are two very tall people traveling together, the taller of the two, such as my current partner, he is 6'9", has to sleep diagonal. And when they sleep diagonal on the bed, they end up kind of forcing the two beds apart, and then you end up sleeping in between two mattresses. That's not great. So what do you do?
Suffer.
Yeah, they don't have a thing like they don't have California Kings. Sometimes it's better to get two individual twin beds. I don't know. That's a thing that's really hard. But like a queen is really hard. As a tall individual, when I travel by myself, here's your hot tip: if you're very tall and you're getting a single room, you can book a French single. In Italy, they call it a French single, which is a double bed. It's like a full size bed. So it's not a queen, but it's like a big twin, and that works really well for me. Twin size beds are very hard for me because I'm not small. So anyhow, I don't know if that helps anybody, but let's just say it's not easy. And I would say we get our heads bumped more often than not going through castles and things like that.
Yes.
That happens. Let's see. Which is your favorite place so far from all of your travels? Ooh.
Whoa.
All of them. Oh my goodness.
That is a very, very difficult question to answer. I'm going to go with Lucca on that.
I'm your favorite place to visit and travel
Yes,
to?
you personally.
Whoa.
Come on.
That's such an honor. Oh my goodness. I'd probably have to go with Chiang Mai just because like
Chiang Mai sausage.
well, not only that, but I mean like it's just generally one of the best places. It's sort of like busy and it has a very like city cool vibe, but it's not too like actually crammed. The markets and the food is amazing, and it's just like all of it. All of it's great.
Yeah, Chiang Mai is pretty cool. Nico, what's your favorite?
Oh, maybe I would say either like the UK. I went on a little stint in London with my grandma for a while,
Mm-hmm.
and then the Provence tour this year is really good. But then also our thing with the Sicilian, I really enjoyed that.
Oh, the trip that we did to France.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was really fun. We did a family trip in a van, family road trip, which was really, really fun. So those were all really good trips. I would say my favorite place that I travel to is Rome, just because that's kind of like home for me. Even though I love Southeast Asia, I love a lot of different places. Rome is always my favorite. So if you want to go to my favorite place with me, I'm going in March. There's space available. So it's my favorite place to show people around to, just because it is a place that has so much to see. I took the kids there in February and we did all the things, right? We did the Vatican museums, we did the Colosseum.
Well, no, there's a story. There's a story that she has told me since the time that I was like very small, and it's the reason why she loves Rome so much.
Yeah? What's that?
And it's that when you originally went to Rome, all of your friends had more money than you, and so instead of going on like trips to like Capri and Naples and stuff like that, you would just walk around Rome.
Yep.
And
Yeah, that's my favorite thing to do. When I was a student, I paid for everything myself, and I was really, really broke. And so, yeah, all of my friends who had their parents paying for their trip, they would go, skiing in Cortina, or we're going to go swim in the Blue Lagoon. And I was like, cool, well, see ya. And I would stay home, but I had a sketchbook, and I would just walk the streets of Rome, and I'd stop and I'd draw. And you know what? I still do that. I bring my watercolors when I have free time, and I just walk around Rome and have a seat somewhere and paint. And it just really is very soul feeding to me. So Rome is really my favorite place, and it really is probably my favorite place to guide. So if you want to do my favorite thing with me, come with me in March. I'm so happy I get to do that. Okay, next question. Kind of similar vein. I'd love to hear what your favorite family travel destinations are. Our family of 4 with 2 boys aged 11 and 13. They love to travel, so I'd love some ideas to start planning our next overseas summer trip. We did a trip to France, and there were four boys under the age of 13, and it was fantastic. We had a really good time, and I think the most fun we had on that trip was probably Chamonix.
Chamonix, yeah.
Chamonix was really fun because we went up to the top of Mont Blanc. We went to Paris. We went to Versailles. It was really fun. So a road trip in France would be probably one of my top things. I think that England is a great place to go, actually. It's kind of an underrated destination for families, and all their museums are really well set up for children, especially. So they have a really good strategy for keeping kids engaged in history and art and things like that. Italy is not as family friendly as you might think. I mean, it's aside from swimming in the summer, if you're going to go in the summer, yeah, and you have kids that like to swim, yeah, Italy's great, but the cities like Florence is like the worst place to take a kid, I think. I've taken my kids all over Italy, and when you're little, now you like it, but like when they were little, those ages, both of my kids thought Florence was not great.
In my first trip to Italy, where did you take me?
I took you to Sicily.
Yeah, to Sicily, and it was like, I mean, Sicily is like...
Sicily's pretty magical. So Sicily's good, and especially because we went in August, so we could swim, we could hike, we ate gelato.
You see, Italy isn't good for kids, except for all of it.
Well, in the summertime, I think. This is what I'm saying. I think Florence is a terrible destination for kids. Rome is very interesting. It just depends on the kind of kid you have. When Nico was little, when he was 8, I took him and we did gladiator school in Rome.
Oh, I love that.
That was so much fun.
That was so fun.
Sweetie, you can pull up a chair if you want.
No.
So that was really good. So yeah, travel destinations in Europe. I know a lot of kids love Germany and they love going to see the castles in Germany. So I would say France and Germany, maybe England. Those are really good. I would say less on Spain, Portugal, unless again you like beaches and things. I'm not sure those would be as entertaining for kids. Switzerland, actually, I ran family tours for many years, and that was usually one of the things the kids liked best. They liked Switzerland because they liked hiking and they liked eating cheese. You know, it really depends on what your kid likes, but you can find fun stuff everywhere.
Well, but here's the thing, though, is that if you're going to take your kid to Europe,
yeah,
that's going to be a formative experience.
Mm-hmm.
And so wherever you take them, they're going to remember that as, like, the most magical thing yet. Oh, yes, that is so much better.
Now people can see us.
And if you're going to take your kid to Europe, then they're going to remember that as one of the most magical places ever, no matter where you take them in Europe.
It's true, and it doesn't need to be that you take them to a museum. You know, I think that taking kids out for a really nice meal in Paris is a lot of fun. I mean, we did that in Paris, remember, near the Champ de Mars?
Yeah.
And they tried escargot for the first time, and that stuff is really exciting too. You know, we went into the Monoprix in Paris.
I love
And
Monoprix.
yeah, we walked around and we went to a bakery and we got a fresh baguette that was hot, you know. So those kind of things are fun. But like in Paris, I took the kids to Invalides, to the military museum, and they love that stuff. So that was really good for them.
I think the biggest thing is take your kids to places that you are interested in.
Yeah.
Because if you can do a good job of making your kids, if you do a good job of explaining things and showing people, especially your kids, why something is interesting, then your kids will find it interesting. Like,
not everybody's parent is a tour guide, though.
That's true, but I mean, like...
I mean, you're right, but...
I mean, I bet there's some art nerds out there in the audience.
That's
and if
true.
you're an art nerd and you take your kid to an art museum, they're going to grow up with a love of art.
You have to sell the destination, I guess
Exactly.
is what he's saying, you know. I would also say, I remember Stockholm was pretty awesome, and I can imagine kids really liking Stockholm or the Netherlands. I was there in September, and I just rode bikes everywhere. So it really depends on what your kids are into. I personally... My professional opinion is the overall top destination for families is France, for sure. I think hands down. Our family trip to France was spectacular. And yeah, so that would be my top choice for families. Okay, this one's for you, Lucca. How about tips for students studying in Europe for a semester? Stuff like how to travel on a shoestring budget, tips for last minute travel, like those weekends when they decide to on their destination on Thursday. Any thoughts about student travel? So Lucca studied in Rennes, France for 6 weeks, I think, this past summer, and got to be a local Frenchman, but in an offbeat town, a town that's not really like a tourist destination.
Yeah, it was a university town. How to travel on a shoestring budget? Stay in one place, find a cheap motel or something, stay somewhere cheap, find restaurants that are not expensive as well. And there's being in a place, you don't need to spend money to make memories. Like, some of my favorite memories are just like strolling around Rennes and finding whichever.
Sorry. Nico, get that. It's the pizza. I'm bribing my children with pizza. I said, will you do a Facebook live stream for me if I buy you pizza? So the pizza's here. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, but for students, the best thing that you can do is stay in one place or very few places, and where you do stay, make sure that it's not particularly expensive. Do things that are cheap, and there's a lot of things that you can do that are cheap, especially if you find the offbeat things.
I think that's probably your top tip, is that, there are a lot of things you can do that are free. And this is to the point you made earlier about my experience in student studying abroad decades ago now, which is that I didn't have any money. And so I stayed in Rome the whole time, but I always found a way to entertain myself going to flea markets or just seeing what the local events were. You don't have to. Like on those weekends when all the kids go out traveling, you don't have to do that. You can stay in the same place and just further investigate it and get to know it better, because I think the goal of studying abroad should be to become a local in the place that you live, more than exploring every corner of that region, right?
And that's just sort of true for every city, though, is that if you can spend the day walking around a city,
Yeah.
you sort of bond with it and you get to know it more. And so you might want to do that in your hometown, like just sort of stroll around the neighborhood or something. And that works especially well if you're traveling, because wandering around and looking at stuff doesn't cost anything, but it can certainly feel very, very sort of ooh.
And I think the nicest thing a parent these days can do for a student who's traveling abroad is to buy them a rail pass, actually. Because rail passes, kids this generation don't use the trains as much. They use cheap flights. And I think that one of the most lovely things about my experience as a student, I did a lot of student travel, was hopping on and off of trains at will. So if you can spring for a Eurail pass, a lot of students aren't doing that anymore, and it's really a shame, because that is such a beautiful experience that I would love for my children to have. So so I would say that. And of course, staying in hostels, it's a great place to meet community. It's cheap, but that's not really the point. The point of hostels is more community, although I have heard that a lot of hostels these days, you might be able to confirm this, they're not as sociable as they were when I was a kid, because like people are on their phones. Or are they sociable?
No, so I didn't stay in the hostel.
Oh, I thought you had. Okay. So yeah, I think that Luca's top tip is a very good one. You don't need to actually pay to go into museums or pay at all, anything, to really enjoy a city. That is true. In the following 4 countries, which would be your favorite place in Italy, France, Germany, and the Netherlands to visit? That's a very interesting question. In Italy, obviously Rome, but if not Rome, Sicily, probably, for me. France, Provence. I love Provence. I know everybody likes Provence, but there's a reason everybody likes Provence. I love the markets. I really love Vaison-la-Romaine that we went to on the Provence tour. Didn't you love that?
Vaison-la-Romaine?
Yeah, they had all the Roman ruins and that fabulous market.
Arles is just the best city ever in my opinion.
That's true. And the
Arles,
market at Arles. Arles is kind of the best.
It's so fantastic. If you go on a Saturday, then it's just the most magical place.
That's true. And then Germany, I tend to like Bavaria just because it's fun. So I really like Munich. I've always really liked Munich and the area around there. And the Netherlands, I'm going to have to answer the northern part, the Friesland and the area around Groningen. That's got to be my favorite. I'm required to say that. So I don't actually know the Netherlands that well. I'm learning. So, but it's a neat place to go to. So what about you, Luca? Italy, what's your favorite place?
Naples. Okay.
Really?
Yeah, I like Naples.
Oh, okay.
It's Naples is cool because it's like, I also like cities, and I like feeling like you're in the middle of it. And Rome is like, I guess I should say Rome, because Rome is like the best place in Italy, but it sort of makes Naples better that it's not the best place in Italy, and that it is sort of scary and gritty, just because that's sort of fun. That makes it fun. I don't know.
Okay. What about in France? Where's your favorite place in France? That's a good question.
Arles.
Arles.
Probably Arles. I mean, Rennes is awesome just because I know it so well. But I mean, it's Arles is really.
It is really cool. All right. And you haven't been to Germany,
I haven't.
and you haven't been to the Netherlands. You have, but only to the airport.
Yeah, I haven't been to Stuttgart.
Okay. All right. Let's keep moving here. How do you pick a cell phone plan, voice and data in Europe, the Middle East, and Asia so you can travel around different countries on that continent? You know, I'm not doing that anymore, and this actually dovetails in with another question. Somebody asked me about eSIMs. So I bought this iPhone 14 Pro that they said, oh, you don't need a SIM card anymore. They have eSIMs. It's really great, and it's so easy because you can get a SIM card anywhere. It's a lie. You can't use it anywhere. I wasn't able to get an eSIM anywhere I went this fall. So eSIMs so far are a total bust because other countries are not using them yet. So I would say if you have an old phone, take it and get yourself a chip somewhere if you want to have a local phone number. I just have been using T-Mobile, and they do a really good job for me, and I've had no problem getting reception pretty much everywhere. So I would say rather than bothering for the casual traveler, rather than getting a SIM in every single place, if you're a frequent casual traveler, you should switch providers to T-Mobile because T-Mobile provides free data and free, not free, but very cheap phone calls everywhere in the world, like everywhere. India, Southeast Asia, Africa, every place I've been able to use my regular cell phone from home, and I can get WhatsApp messages, I can surf the internet, the live streaming's not so great, that's why I've gone to shooting videos and posting them later on Wi-Fi. So yeah, I would just do that rather than getting individual SIM cards everywhere because it doesn't work as well as it used to. How do you get enough veggies when you are in Europe? There's fresh fruit at breakfast, no problem. I've noticed salad is not really a thing in Europe. Not like we think of it anyway.
Wait. Read that again?
How do you get enough veggies when you are in Europe? There's fresh fruit at breakfast, no problem. I've noticed salad is not really a thing in Europe. Not like we think of it anyhow. We are typically in hotels, so no kitchen to do our own thing. I'm not sure how to answer that because okay, well let's just stop. Let's take I know.
Okay.
So Lucca has spent a lot of time in France, and France has the best salads in the world. Like there's whole like sections of the menu devoted to salads, right?
Yeah.
So that's not a problem. Italy, there's always a salad on the menu, but the salads are in a section of the menu people don't often look at, and that's contorni, which is side dishes. And all the vegetables are there. So actually in Italy, you can always get lots of great vegetables, cooked or fresh, but you might not be looking at the right part of the menu because you usually see the primo, which is always pasta, the secondo, which is meat. So you have to look at the right part of the menu to find the salads because every restaurant has salad. It's not great. It's a boring salad usually in Italy, to be honest. But so, but yeah, no, I've found vegetables just about everywhere. Another way to do it is just look for vegetarian restaurants. Obviously, if you're going to a vegetarian restaurant, you're going to find lots and lots of vegetables. And if you want to have more vegetables than you've ever had in your life, go to India. I ate more vegetables in November than I think I've eaten in my entire life while I was in India. So.
Oh yeah, and isn't it like a third of the population is vegetarian there?
More, I think, yeah.
It's
it's almost all vegetables. So yeah, I've never had any problem. If you're thinking about like a salad bar, that's different. But every country I can think of does salads. You know.
I don't know how you're gonna find less vegetables in Europe than you are gonna find in America. Because like that's the thing. I was like dying when I got back to America for a while because it was like, where's the greens? I need my vegetables. Because I'd gotten used to eating so many vegetables and good stuff, and it's like,
yeah.
If you want vegetables, travel to France because it's just you have a salad with every meal, you have vegetables with every meal. It's just no, not even like a problem.
Yeah, I haven't had that issue, but I know in Italy I've had a lot of my tour guests tell me that they felt like they hadn't eaten a lot of vegetables, and I think a lot of it is that they just don't see that on the menu because they don't realize the section that it's in. So you have to order your vegetables in a lot of European countries as a side dish. They don't automatically come on your plate. So I think that might be the misunderstanding there in Europe.
Italy is just a lot of pizza, pasta, and secondi.
Yeah. What is your favorite off the beaten path location in Croatia and in Slovenia?
Oh,
Okay, Luca obviously wants to answer that. I'm gonna go grab a slice of pizza. You go ahead and answer.
okay. So for Croatia, on the Croatia tour, there's this amazing island called, is it Vis Island?
Yes.
Vis Island, and there's a whole bunch of islands that if you go to like Split, you can take ferries to. I think the other ones are like Hvar and
Bar and Brach.
and Brach, and those are like frat boy islands that they all go to like party or whatever. And Vis is not very well known. It's like, I think it's like a 2 hour ferry from Split, but Vis is so amazing. It's like it's the most idyllic little town on the opposite side of the island, and it's like a really really old, and there's also things from the Tito era. There's a whole bunch of bunkers because it's also one of the closest islands to sort of the Western Bloc, whatever, and so it's just a little bit of something for everyone, and it's just idyllic. It's amazing.
And I would say in Slovenia, some of the off the beaten path, well, all of Slovenia is off the beaten path, let's be honest. But I've gone all over the place with Andrew, because Andrew, my business partner, he lives in Koper. Koper is really cute. It's right next to Trieste. It's so inexpensive. It's got a cute little Venetian walled town. Yeah, he's gonna get pizza. Very, very inexpensive, and you can get to Trieste, which is a really great sort of unknown Italian city, just about 20 minutes away by car. So Koper's really neat. Istria is really interesting as well. I'm kind of a coastal person and beach person, so Rovine is nice, and that whole area of Istria, which is like it's like
I think
wait, no, that's in Croatia, isn't that?
Istria's in Croatia.
Anyway, okay, never mind. Istria, that's my recommendation in Croatia. In Slovenia, I would say the Mediterranean kind of coastal area is really fun. What else? Ljubljana obviously is really a lot of fun. I mean, I would say most of Slovenia is just unknown.
Well, okay. Here's the thing about here's another thing about Croatia. All of Slovenia is off the beaten path, but Croatia is split into 3 bits. The northern bit is Slavonia, which was a part of the Austrian Empire, so it's sort of, it feels like Hungary, Austria-y. You have the Istria, which was like, it's old. It's like Roman old. It's very, very old. And then you have Dalmatia, which is the part that we do a tour to. And Dalmatia is cool because it's very Italian. It's like Venetian. You feel like you're in, you feel like you're sort of in the Veneto, but like it's warmer and nicer.
I'm going to throw out there another more hidden place. It's not hidden, but it's less popular, is Zagreb, actually. I'm going to throw that out there as an idea. I really enjoyed Zagreb. We were there, Andrew and I went there not so long ago. What a cool town. It was really not super touristy, very affordable. We stayed in a nice hotel. Restaurants, lots of great restaurants, very cool. So, I don't know, I hope that helps.
That's in the Slavonia area.
Yeah, you know, the most overhyped place in all of those 2 regions is Dubrovnik. Way, way overhyped. But we had a good time there. It was crazy and loud, but we sure did have a really good time doing that. So, I don't know. Dubrovnik, I would say for a day or 2, and staying within the walls is pretty fun. But just know what you're getting into, which is that it's going to be an onslaught of tourists 24 hours a day, and way overpriced for what it is.
It's crazy because it feels like Croatia isn't a big Western tourist destination. Like all the Westerners go to like France and Italy. It's a lot of Russians and like Turks and sort of anything.
I don't know. Italians love going to Croatia.
Italians do. But it's super touristy. It's just not very well known in sort of our area.
Okay.
It's like British tourists love going there too. Brits.
Yeah. Well, and also Croatia is just popular because of all of the cheap flights that go in there. Slovenia is never going to be hard, like a place that is overrun with tourists because it's just hard to get there. There aren't a lot of airlines that fly in there, and it's just a little bit annoying to get to. But if you fly to Venice, you can take the train to Trieste, and then from Trieste you can just cross the border. You can get to Koper, and then from there you can take buses and things like that. So the transit in Slovenia is not as easy as it is in Italy, for example. Okay. What is your, let's see. How do you keep a destination feeling fresh for you and your guests after returning several times? I'm thinking of Italy for you, Sarah. Honestly, every single, like, how many times have I taken people to Rome? I don't know. I mean, I've been doing this for 22 years, 23 years this year, and it never ever gets old, and I enjoy it every time because the thing that's so much fun, like on the Rome staycation, I love taking people to my favorite church. I love taking people to have gelato at a place they've never heard of that's one of my favorites, and it's sharing the things that mean a lot to me and seeing the reaction is so priceless. It really is priceless. I mean, I live off of the energy of my guests, honestly.
Mama taking you around Rome is more like her giving you a house tour. Rome is just not. I don't think Rome is fresh. It's more just like your house.
Oh, that's a nice way to put it. Yeah, it's like, this is my home. Let me give you a tour of my home. That's a good way to put it. You know, you can't get bored of your home, right?
How can you get bored of your home, especially when it has so many things in it?
Yeah, I mean, and Sicily is the same. Venice and Florence are kind of the same. I mean, it's hard to get bored of the places that feel like home to you. So I never get bored of them, and it really is such a charge to see people go and yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, well, you know, and we plan our tours so carefully to try and get the biggest wow for our dollar. You know, we want to make sure that everybody has an experience that's really memorable, and it's just really fun when that stuff comes to pass. You know, when you've planned a really cool cooking class out in a farmhouse in the middle of Sicily, and then you go and you do it, and everybody's like having so much fun. You know, I don't know. And it's always different. You know, this is part of the reason I quit being an architect and I started doing this, is that I didn't want my days to be the same. And I love that every single day is different. Every tour is different. It could be the same itinerary. Like I just finished Egypt and Jordan in the fall. Totally different vibe to the previous year's group because it was a completely different group of people and the circumstances were different. So really no two tours are ever alike. And that's what I love chaos. I thrive on chaos. Isn't that true?
And there is no place that is more chaotic than Italy.
No, there's no.
Well, you do go
There's
to
no
Cairo.
profession more chaotic than that of a tour guide, right? So I love that. So I don't know.
Wait, there's a question though, Carolina Martinez.
How do I put my name on the waiting list for the tour to Morocco in April? Hey, you can send me an email about that. But there also is a Morocco tour in March that is being led by Andrew, and it's only got 5 or 6 people on it, and it's a fantastic itinerary, and that has space available. So if you'd like to do that, you can go to my website. It's described as a foodie tour, but it's not really. It's a tour of basically the highlights of the little bit longer tour. It's a fantastic tour, so I would highly recommend looking at that one if you want to go this spring. I'm not sure that the other one that I'm leading in May is going to be having any movement, because I think most of the people have paid. So yeah, so have a look at that. We have that on my website, adventureswithsarah.net, if you're interested. Let's see, what else? Okay, I'm going to go back to this list here. This is a fun question. How has owning and running your own small travel company felt different than working for Rick Steves? Lucca slowly walks out of the room.
There's a lot of things that are different there.
There's a lot of things that are different there. Lucca is sort of a junior communist, and I think he would put it this way, that it's the proletariat seizing the means of production. Isn't that how you would say it?
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah. I love it. I love running my own business. What I love the most about it is I love the creativity of being able to design these itineraries myself and not having to ask permission for anything. I just do what I want. I love that all of these ideas I've had for years of tours, like the Venice tour that we do now, that Lisa Anderson's doing in a few weeks or in a couple months, 7-day Venice tour. I've been trying to convince Rick Steves to do that for years. And, you know, we used to do it, and then they took it off the map and they didn't really want to do it again. I'm excited I get to do that now. You know, these ideas I've had in my head that I wanted to do things a different way, now I get to do them, and it's really fun. But here's the thing I love the most about this, about working for myself now and doing my own thing. What I love is you guys. I love this community. I love that everybody who comes on my tours feels like a friend because I see your names here. You know, I talk to you guys at Patreon meetings. This is not just like a business with a bunch of random customers. This is like a travel community. And I think that's really special. I think that we have created something really special here that is so different than what I'm used to. I don't really ever have people on my tours that I don't get along with. I don't really have people on tours that cause problems. People on my tours are so, I don't know, they're just in it to win it. Like, they're excited to travel with me, and I don't know, it's really hard. That's all the good stuff. The bad stuff, if you want to know the bad stuff, is owning a business is not that much fun. Dealing with accountants and dealing with making sure you've got all of your ducks in a row and answering everybody's emails and trying to staff and making sure every tour gets filled and having to make sure that we are able to employ all the people we promise things to, that's really stressful. So, it is a high price to pay for the kind of freedom I enjoy now, but I wouldn't want it any other way. And let me tell you, the other day, Lucca can vouch for this. I was laying in bed in my pajamas until about 4:00 in the afternoon, working. Yeah. I just lay in my bed with my phone and I answer emails and I make phone calls to people in other countries and I arrange things. And that's how I run my business. And that's pretty good. So I can't really complain about that. So yeah, any aspiring entrepreneurs out there, if they're hesitant, I was with the same company for more than 20 years because I was afraid, I was too afraid of going off on my own because it is a lot of work. Thank you, Diana. You're correct. It is a lot of work and it's really scary. You're taking a big risk, and who knows, what if I plan tours and nobody shows up? What if I don't make any money this year because, I don't know, we can't fill our tours? It's really scary. But on the other hand, it's so wonderfully creative. And it's so, look at the comments of people who are saying, oh, I traveled with them and their tours are amazing. Like, that is so gratifying to know that the work that we're doing is appreciated. And I mean, I look at who signed up for tours next year, and more than 50% are people that traveled with us in the past year.
I remember every single season that Mom would come home, it would be that there would be one tour that she would complain about. And it was like, that it was just full of idiots, just full of just
every year there was one tour that ended up being really hard for whatever reason, whether it was that something happened with the bus or the hotel or whatever. Now when stuff happens, it's like I only have myself to blame, first of all, but also I can put that extra oversight in. Well, I put the extra oversight into making sure, because I know the things that typically go wrong. And you put that extra oversight into vetting customers, first of all, vetting your hotels and your bus companies, and making sure you're only working with the best people, which I think is what really distinguishes what we do from other travel companies, is that we really are super careful about that. So I don't know. There's so much. So anyway, that's a long-winded way of saying I really love running this company, and I'm really so grateful that it's working and people are loving our tours, and somehow we all made it go. And it was a really big leap and it was really terrifying, but yeah. And now I can bring my son in eventually to work for me, and that's really neat too, Yay. Adventures with Sarah and Son. So yeah. So really the answer is you guys are the thing that makes it amazing. The fact that like we have such a great community of travelers that goes on adventures together. It's amazing. So let's see. Let's go back to our questions. Travel purses and travel shoes. What are the best travel purses and travel shoes?
whatever weighs the least.
Yeah, so travel purses, I still love Tom Bin. Still love, love, love them. They're not for everybody, but I think their cafe bags are really great and have lasted me in some cases more than 10 years. I've been using the same bags. So I really like them. But purses are kind of that's a personal issue. So it's hard to say. I would say Sherpani. I've seen a lot of people carry those and they seem to really like those. I think what we should do is maybe, this is something on my mind, I'd like to get back to doing more writing for you guys. So that's in between now and the beginning of March. I'm going to do a travel shoe spreadsheet like I used to do in the past, and we can get back to doing some reviews of travel gear. So because I know that a lot of that stuff needs to be updated. As far as travel shoes go this year, I really enjoyed a pair of New Balance tennis shoes a lot of people saw me wear that really liked, but I will say they got kind of trashed by the end of the season. So they're kind of one season shoes. Sandals wise, I'll have to do a live stream to show you what I'm talking about, but I really like Echo sandals, the ones that are leather straps and leather footbed, but then like a rubber tennis shoe sole. That seems to be the perfect combination that looks good, but also doesn't make you slip or fall over or whatever. So that'll come up later, hopefully soon, that I'll have more information, and I promise I will get back to doing more writing. It's just hard running a business and being a single mom, you know. Where's the time for writing? Where's the time for me? Where's the time for me?
Need to hire writers.
No, I need to hire somebody to manage my life. That would be nice. That would be a more easy thing. So here's a good question, and I'm not entirely sure how to answer this, but I'll give it a shot. How can somebody with a severe nut allergy plan to feel safe and enjoy traveling to Europe? Are there any areas that are easier to navigate with food and shopping and eating out? And somebody echoed that question saying, I have the same question specific to Morocco. So what I'm thinking in my head is, where are the places that they grow nuts? Sicily, pistachios and almonds are in just about everything. Sicily grows pistachios and almonds, so that's in just about everything. They even put it in the pasta. Pine nuts in Italy are a really difficult thing. So probably what I would recommend, first of all, if you are going to go to Italy, is to maybe print out a little card in Italian or have somebody in Italy write it out for you saying, here is what I cannot eat. And just keep a little card with you and hand it to your server to make sure that you don't end up getting that stuff in your food. Because pine nuts can really, that's the one, like as a tour guide, when I know I have people with nut allergies, that's always the one that pops up. In Austria, they put pine nuts into strudel, for example. So you have to be very, very careful about that kind of stuff. I don't see nuts in a lot of the food in France, not really, unless it's listed, right?
In France?
Like marzipan.
Well, you know when there's France, it's a lot easier. I think there's a lot less nuts. So I don't know. Yeah, I would recommend just doing that, and learn a little bit of the language and learn how to say I am allergic to nuts.
Yeah, I would say that. Yeah, that's the number one thing. Yeah, it's kind of hard to think about. Morocco, I don't think you're going to have a problem. I mean, most of the food in Morocco doesn't have nuts. I would say the exception is I know that there are some tagines with beef that do include nuts, but I don't really see a lot of like couscous and vegetables and things like that. You're not going to see a lot of nuts. So a severe nut allergy, yeah, I mean, like I said, have somebody write out in the local language, I'm severely allergic to, like deadly allergic to these things, and take that with you. That's probably the best advice. And don't order strudel. No, seriously, like that's the number one reason that I've had to give a lot of Benadryl out over the course of my tour. I always keep Benadryl with me because sometimes people, they don't tell you they have an allergy and then they start going, and it usually is strudel because there's walnuts or pine nuts hidden in there. So yeah, that's a tough one, but and also just fresh stuff, having fresh salads or, just a fillet, like ordering just a fillet of meat for dinner, like things that don't have nuts in them. Don't order mysterious sauces, like any kind of overcooked or over-processed sauce, because they could put that in there. Or any kind of thing like a layered, I don't know, lasagna, I'm not sure.
Never baklava.
The worst place is the desserts. I'll just say that. My experience as a tour guide with people with nut allergies is the place people get hit is always the desserts. And yes, carry an EpiPen. If you have a severe allergy, carry a ton of Benadryl if it's a mild one. But it's always the desserts that get people. So just skip dessert, I guess. Have fresh fruit, maybe. So yeah, that really stinks, but that's probably the best advice I can give you. Let's see. Clothing packing ideas. Want to do Sicily with a few days, Amalfi Coast with bad feet, knees, and on my own. I'll get to that in a second, but I just want to tell you, for those of you who have just joined us or didn't see the title of our live stream today, this is an AMA, an Ask Me Anything, which, by the way, was Luca's idea.
I love AMAs.
He loves AMAs. That's a Gen Z kind of thing. Ask us anything. So if you have travel questions you would like us to answer, we're looking at the questions people have already submitted, but you're welcome to put questions into the comments. And we're going to answer questions for about another 10 minutes. And then we have to eat our pizza, which is getting cold. I bribed my poor children to talk to you guys today. Clothing packing ideas for Sicily. Well, it depends entirely on the time of year you go. People think that Sicily is sunny and hot all year round, and I remember one year I had to bring my knee-high Ugg boots and a down coat because it was so cold, and I think that was March. So look at the temperature really carefully before you leave, because it can be cold if you're going in the off season. In the summer season, yeah, you can bring more summery stuff, but just as a tip, I never really bring shorts with me anywhere. I know a lot of people do like to wear shorts. I would say even to hot weather, like I'm going to Thailand in 2 weeks, And I'm not bringing shorts. I'm going to bring more like long skirts and maybe super lightweight pants, that kind of stuff. Because just remember, most cultures are more modest than we are in the way they dress. European cultures as well. So I always try to dress more for modesty than anything else.
I don't know. The French are pretty. They don't really care.
Teenagers, but grown-ups, different. It's different.
I stayed with two elderly people, and they definitely didn't care.
Okay, well, differing opinions. Let's see. I also, by the way, really like, if you're looking for clothing brands, I really like Royal Robins. That's kind of a very underrated travel brand. It's a little bit older. You can get their stuff off of ThreadUp, but they also have a shop where they sell newer things. It's a really nice brand, and their clothes are kind of flattering. And my other suggestion is black. Just bring only black. Bring everything black. You might think, well, I look like I'm going to a funeral. Well, that's better than having dirty clothes. I'm really messy, so I drop stuff on my clothes. And if I bring black, nobody can tell. Right?
Yeah, and black always even if you're wearing a t-shirt and like sweats, you're gonna look more formal than if you're wearing bright colors.
And this folds perfectly into the next question from our viewers. Clothing and packing tips for family travel. We are taking our kids, 14-year-old daughter and son, 6 years old, to Munich, Venice, Barcelona, and Nice this summer. So what are your packing tips from when you're a teenager, but what are more youth-oriented packing tips?
Youth-oriented packing tips is just, I found that packing is a lot. You don't need to put as much thought into it as you think. Like, you don't need to bring all those things as long as you have enough clothes, and I know enough differs between
enough clothes for you, or like a pair of pants on your body and a pair of pants in your bag. A shirt on your body, a shirt in your bag. That's, my kids bring almost nothing, but you know what works? You guys wear basically the same thing the whole time. And then if it gets too hot, like, we go buy you a t-shirt.
And that's the thing. It's if anything, I mean, you're going to what? Barcelona, Venice, Munich, Nice. Those all have probably really nice like street stands, maybe markets, and heck, it would be a fun experience to go and buy clothes there. And
that's true. We bought you guys a lot of fun stuff in Provence on the Provence tour.
Yeah, like
we
accidentally didn't pack light enough, and it was really hot, and so we went to the we went to the market, went behind the church, and then just changed.
Yeah. So I think for kids, what I would say is, as the grown-up, I would make them pack for themselves. This is what I did with the kids. I would give them a list of what they had to have in the bag, and then they had to pack for themselves. I will guarantee you that your kids are going to pack things you would not put in their bag, like their stuffies, Lucca. Yeah, my kids have always brought their stuffies with them, and that's not important to me as a parent, but the kids need those things, like their headphones and their whatever, their iPhone are more important to them than anything that goes in the bag. The thing you need to double check what they pack, because kids always underpack socks and underpants. They always underpack both of those things. They often will forget swim trunks, for example. But I think it's nice for kids to pack for themselves. So give them a list, let them pick their own stuff, and even if it looks wacky, that's okay. That's their choice, because you're teaching them a skill at the same time, I think.
And if you don't, then I mean, if you have enough money to go to Europe, you probably have enough money to buy a cheap shirt or cheap socks or something like that.
Yeah, Nico always packs for himself, and he's a legend now for never bringing a coat. So he's got 2 or 3 coats that have been bought on arrival because he just doesn't think he needs one. And that, you know what, that's okay. That's a lesson for him. And yeah, it's okay. Let kids take the charge on packing, but just maybe give them, like I said, a formula. So
okay, but I think that actually it's a good thing that I didn't bring those coats, because I've had one of the most legendary purchases ever because he didn't buy the coat. We were in Venice, and it was frigid. It was terribly cold. And so we needed to go into a shop. And just because we were just looking for a local shop, we stumbled into a place that sells gondoliers their sweaters. And so I own a real life gondolier sweater because because Nico forgot something.
Which is the warmest sweater on the planet. I don't know what.
So
I don't know
nice.
what that sweater's
Oh my
made of,
goodness.
but he wears that instead of a coat in Seattle in December. Like, it's crazy. So yeah, so it ends up being fun. So don't stress out too much about it. You can always buy more stuff. And you make it an adventure. You say to the kids, "Oh, you forgot underpants." Well, we're in Paris. We're going underpants shopping today, and that can be fun too. You don't get upset about it. You just do it.
Okay, we're going to what is
We're
it?
gonna
Pig
go to-
Alley?
No.
We're going there. We're gonna shop for underpants there, kids.
No, but that is, honestly, I think that's fun. It's fun to go and have to shop
It
for
is.
everyday things with your kids when they're traveling because they get to see how everyday people live. Like, I love going in to find what the target of a country is. Like, I discovered the Netherlands has their own kind of target. It's called Hema. It's really cool. I like wandering.
Hema.
We wandered around Hema for a really long time. By the way, they don't take credit cards, though. So I put a big basketful of stuff together and I got up there and they didn't take credit cards. Anyway, look for the Target. Look for the local Target. Every country has their own version of Target. As a fellow diligent light packer, I'm curious about this one. Have you ever felt like you packed too light? What did you miss, or what did you need to purchase to supplement what you bought? No. Only because I'm a light packer. I do occasionally bring too much. Sometimes I will even get to the airport and realize that I brought one too many dresses or too many pairs of shoes, and I'll just leave things in the car as I get dropped off. That's happened before. There was one time that I got out of the car and I got into the airport and I realized I'd left my fleece in the car and I had to go buy one because that's too late. Like, you can't get on a plane. Even I was going somewhere tropical. I think I was going to Thailand or something, and it was I was going to Sicily, and it was like August. And I'm like, well, I don't really need a coat, but I'm going to be too cold on the plane. So that's something I have missed before, thinking I'd be okay on a plane, but the planes are always so cold. But I've never ever had a problem purchasing stuff. The only things that are absolutely critical that you don't lose or you don't forget are your medications because they're just such a hassle to replace. I've done that for tour guests before. I've worked with doctors and pharmacies to get prescriptions filled even in foreign countries, but it's such a hassle. So
Okay, prescriptions that are actually prescriptions, but if you forget Zyrtec, like it's a lot of like Tylenol or allergy meds, it's actually cheaper to buy them in Europe.
Yeah, so really everything, So really I challenge you with this question because that's a good one. Is there anytime you pack too light? I don't think there has been, and there have been times when I've taken very little. I took 6 pounds to Thailand once. There was almost nothing in my bag, and it was magical. It was so nice because I could hop in and out of planes, in and out of like transportation, and it was just like stupid easy. I loved it. So challenge yourself sometime and take half of what you think you really need, and you'll never ever want to go back. Just bring a lot of black clothes. That's all, because you're not going to get to wash them very much. So just everything black.
That's the issue, is that you always end up stinky, and it's always not fun.
Yeah. So another.
Let's check the recent questions. Here's a good one. What do you use as your personal item? Do you prefer a backpack or tote?
Neither. I prefer a messenger bag. I like a crossbody messenger style bag that I carry. I have one that I got from Tom Bid probably 15 years ago that I still love more than anything else, but I highly recommend crossbody messenger bags. You carry what? You carry?
Yeah, I carry a purple messenger bag.
The you carry
same one since I
cafe
was 12.
bag from a cafe style bag.
And
speaking of Sicily, did you watch the second season of White Lotus? Sorry, Lucca.
they watched it without me, and I'm like, I'm so betrayed.
No, actually, that's what we should do tonight. Let's finish White Lotus. I'll watch it again. I'll watch it again.
I like the Attorney Woo show. Watch Attorney Woo. It's a very good show on Netflix.
We're watching Attorney Woo right now. So White Lotus, if you haven't watched it yet, is a sort of mystery series. The first one takes place in Maui, and Lucca and I watched it over Christmas, and it's about really dislikable rich people is really what it's about.
It's about rich people that are just terrible people.
On vacation, though, which is something very funny because I can obviously relate a lot to seeing a lot of people behaving badly while they're traveling. So I found it fascinating. And then the second season is set in Taormina. And
which is one of my favorite places on earth. It is absolutely, I love it.
Yeah.
And okay, she You have some opinions about the filming locations, right?
So I have opinions. So first of all, the White Lotus is actually the Hotel San Domenico, which is funny because that hotel had been closed for a long, long time. I actually haven't even been back since they renovated it, and so it's actually called Hotel San Domenico, which is funny because that says that on the front when they pan in, and then a little sign says White Lotus, so they're faking that it's a hotel called White Lotus. But what makes my head want to explode while watching White Lotus in Sicily is that when they go to the beach, they go to Cefalù, which is like a 4-hour drive. Like you can't just go down from Taormina to get into the water and swim around Cefalù because that is literally the other side of the island. And so that it's like, why do you do that? And then they have a scene at the end where they actually take a little road trip to Cefalù. But this whole time they've been going to the beach in Cefalù. So it's very stupid. So whoever did the sighting, I know that they were just trying to get the most kind of like vivid scenery, but why didn't they go down to Syracuse? They never went to Syracuse, which is really panoramic and beautiful. But no, they went because Cefalù has the best beach, and they wanted to show people laying on the beach.
Even though Taormina has a good beach, and they have like a really cool.
No, but it's all rocks. That's probably I don't know. I'm not sure. So I thought it was good. The plot line.
Okay, but what was your opinion?
Okay.
What was your opinion on its portrayal of Sicily, though?
It was very accurate, and they had the Italian family, the guys from New Jersey who like are coming to trace their Sicilian roots. That was the funniest part of the whole thing. Oh, you didn't see this part. I'm just going to give you a little spoiler here. No, it's really funny because I've seen this so many times. People who come on Sicily tours because they have Sicilian heritage and they think they know Sicily more than I do, that kind of thing, which just cracks me up. And they're looking for their roots. So they go out and they're going to go knock on doors in central Sicily to try to find their family. So this is like this whole storyline of why this like family has gone there, because they're trying to, cleanse their souls of all the bad things that are happening back at home by doing this kind of family thing to find their roots. And you know what happens when they get to the family home?
But
they knock on the door, and the old granny comes out like with a shotgun. It's like, who do you think you are coming and knocking on our doors? You're not related to us. And yeah, screaming at them in Sicilian. It's really funny because I've often thought that, like when people say, oh, I arrived a few days early and I went out and knocked on the doors of people who might be related to me. And I always think, what about the person on the other side of that door? Isn't that awkward for them? So anyway, interesting. I think it's good, but yeah, the inconsistencies of location. And the other mystery, which I think has been discussed a lot on Twitter at least, is you're in Taormina with some of the best restaurants in Sicily, but they eat in the restaurant at the hotel every night. Like, why didn't the producers make that show more about the meals and the food? Like, they showed the beautiful scenery, but they really could, with the amount of time those characters spend sitting at tables, they could have made it a really beautiful kind of like quasi food oriented kind of thing. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
So they missed an opportunity there. But anyway, the scenery is really beautiful, but yeah, it's the plot is a little iffy. I do love the part where they go to Palermo and they're partying in the palazzo. You'll see that part because that's kind of true. Like all these sort of like
Bros.
elegant nobles with their falling down palaces that are looking for ways to renovate them. Like that's really true. So
We know one of those.
well, anyhow, stop. So it's funny. It's interesting. Let's see. And here's a question. I'm thinking of switching my career and want to be a travel planner and agent. However, I don't know where to start. Do you have any advice for me? I don't, because I'm not actually a travel agent. I am a tour guide. So it really depends. Travel planning, that's really a hard business to get into these days because a lot of people just use resources on the internet. And if you don't have acres of experience like I do, I'm not really sure where you start. Probably best thing to do is see if you can get a job with a travel company of some kind and learn the ropes. But it's like any career. You have to start at the bottom, intern somewhere, find a business where you can jump in and learn. I mean, I just happened to be lucky that my travel job was working for a very famous travel guru. So I don't know. Yeah, that's a hard question to answer because I don't sell plane tickets, so I'm not a travel agent. But like an online travel site like Expedia or something like that might be interesting. Let's see. What other questions do we have?
Let's see. Come
2 fingers, by the way.
Oh, yes.
I think we might have gotten them all. Did we get them all?
I think there was some more recent ones. Sorry, everybody.
Yeah, sorry, we just, let's see. Yeah, I think we pretty much got them all.
And there was a guy who said that the Place Lafayette is the Target of France. It's the Monoprix. The Monoprix is, oh my goodness.
We love Monoprix.
The Monoprix is, it's like everything that Target isn't.
So that's an article that we should write, actually. We should write, what is the Target in every country around the world? Because Monoprix is the Target of France. Oviessa is the Target of Italy. And I think every country has their own Target, which is really super useful. So,
Yeah.
anywho. All right, well, I think that's pretty much all we have for questions today for Ask Me Anything.
Unless anybody has one that they want to just quickly ask, that we will answer them.
We've been going for an hour, baby.
Oh, but I like this. It's fun. Oh, 2024 tours.
2024 tours. Oh, when are the 2024 tours coming out? That's a very good question. I would like to launch our 2024 tours a lot earlier this year. So that is my goal. It is a lot of work figuring that stuff out. And I'm going to have some help with that, luckily, in the next month or two. I would love to get you those by March is my goal. Earlier would be even better. And ideally, we're going to relaunch our website at the same time. I have a friend who's redesigning the Adventures with Sarah website. So we have a lot of great things. I can give you a little preview. Japan is going to be on the list for sure. A reboot of our Egypt tour for sure. India is probably coming back. Always Italy, like usual. We'll have some new things in Italy, though. Usually Slovenia, food tours. There's going to be a lot of great stuff. I'm still open to ideas, so you're certainly welcome to email me if you have a tour you'd love to see. Also, if you want to do a private group, I've got 3 or 4 private groups already in the works. You need to let me know that stuff now if you have a group of 6 or more and you want me to do a private tour for you, so I have time to get you on the schedule. But yeah, we'd like to do that. And just remember that Patreon people are going to have the first stab at 2024 tours. And just remember that, like, sometimes I never know what it's going to be, but 2024 tour, or when I launch the tours to Patreon, sometimes tours completely sell out. So Palio and Ireland sold out only to Patreon people this year. So if you are interested in getting first pick of our tours, join Patreon. It's minimum $5 a month, and it pays for all this. Look, Casa del Murdoch is paid for by my Patreon people. So thank you so much.
Hey, actually, could we just do one more question?
Okay, but we're running out of power.
Okay, because there was just a really cool one that I saw. It was, what are the best festivals that John Trent, what are some of your favorite festivals that you attended? And
La Tomatina is my #1 festival I ever went. It was on my honeymoon in 1998. I went to La Tomatina, which is the tomato throwing festival. That's what I did when I got married. Yeah, it was really fun. That's a whole story. I should tell you guys that story sometime.
And the best one that I've ever been to was the one we were in Judy's town. Remember that?
Oh yeah, there was a festival in Levanto. This was kind of in late July, I think it was, and it was their village festival, and they had fireworks over the water.
And it was the best fireworks show that I think I might have ever seen, because it was over the water. It was picturesque. And there was also these guys, and it was like since it was the saint day for the town, it was that people would carry a cross that was like 30 feet tall.
Yeah, it was like a religious festival as well. Yeah, that's something I really need to sit down and write down too, is all my experience at festivals and holidays, because I have been everywhere on festivals and holidays, and they're crazy. Oh, hey, what we want to do in 2024 is bring back India for Holi, which is the festival of color, where people throw colors at each other. So I want to do all the things, you guys. I want to do all the festivals. So if you have a festival you want to hit, you let me know. And
we're already doing Palio, so although I think that one's completely filled out.
That's completely full and has a really long waiting list. But yes, the Palio is going to be amazing. So anyway, thinking about a Jordan tour only for 2024? Oh, heck yeah. Jordan tour only for 2024 is absolutely on the menu. My friend Mohammed and I are working on it, and he is absolutely a joy. I mean, he's such a good guy. All of our local guides are magnificent, and he is He is so good. So I'm looking forward to working with him on that. So many fun things happening. And I think that's all we can do right now. Another AMA in February. Are you on for that?
Oh, absolutely.
All right. Maybe we can get Dad to participate in another one as well.
Good God.
Just a reminder, 21st of this month is an open house at my home. You can come and see this painting in person. For those of you who traveled with me on a tour this year or last year, and also for all Patreon members. So if you're a Patreon member or you've traveled with me, you can come to my home in Seattle, and I'm going to cook for you and hang out, and my dad will probably be here to tell you terrible jokes. And it's going to be a lot of fun. So we hope you'll join us. If you haven't already, please send me an email to let me know you want to come to that event. And then after I get all of the emails, I'm going to send out a blast to everybody with my address. I don't want to put my address up on Patreon if you don't mind. So, all right. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Happy Sunday to all of you. We'll try to get some fun programming out to you this coming week. I want to talk a little bit about Rome this week. I think I'm going to talk about Provence this week. We're going to do some flashback videos from our past travels in the past year. So anyway, we hope you are well, and we'll see you again next time. Ciao.
Ciao.